Hi, Scott here, and I'm making this very quick video to cover all the frequently asked questions that I cover when I come out for property visits regarding the Troon Open. So just imagine I'm sitting on the couch next to you in your own home, and I'm going to cover all the questions that I normally get asked. So it saves me coming out and speaking to you face to face at the property. It means you can get this information a lot quicker, and I'll hopefully cover everything that we would speak about anyway. So I'm just going to crack on. So the first thing we normally get asked is what type of tenant is going to be in our property. Now we can break it down into three main categories. The first one would be corporates. So when I say corporate, we could be players. We've got several players staying at my properties already. We can have big companies like Nike, sponsors like Coca-Cola, Rolex, big corporates. Even smaller corporates, like we've got people doing the seating at the events. So everybody involved with the actual event and are getting paid to be there. So these are very, very good clients. Normally they pay the money, there's never any problems, and they leave the properties in very good condition. So these are generally the ones that we want. If we had the choice of other tenants, we would take these. The closer to Troon and the event that it is, the more chance you have of getting corporates. These companies certainly don't want to be travelling 30, 40 minutes to get there, but certainly the corporates are the good ones. The next ones are families. Now, the guys normally come and play golf, they bring their wife and their families. These are also very good ones to get. So it could be one big family, it could be a family sharing, and if it's a smaller property, it's just maybe a couple even. So we classify these as families. These are also pretty good people to get. If there's a wife involved, they're always going to leave your house the way you would leave their house. They're going to say things like, I would never leave a house in a condition that I wouldn't want mine left in. So normally very good, they clean up and everything's grand. So with families, there's never really any problems there. So it all depends on the size of your property and the location. These guys are willing to go a little bit further because they're not just there for the golf, there's generally other activities. So they use it as a base to maybe travel elsewhere or Scotland. The last type of category are what we would classify as spectators. Now these are people that are actually coming to go to the golf and are paying to go there. So you can get a couple of people from golf clubs, just a few friends doing, business people, so you can get some really great tenants here as well, but they're generally sharers, so generally require single beds. They may be happy to share a room, but they're not going to share double beds normally. Two types, normally just decent people that are coming to watch the golf. There are people paying a lot of money, so it does pretty much exclude the riffraff, but sometimes you can get larger groups of people coming and it's a bit of a party for them, so we need to be careful of these. Some properties it's perfect. We've got properties that are maybe 45 minutes drive away and are a little bit cheaper. The owners of these are absolutely fine with 6 or 7 guys sharing there and using it as a base, just simply because it fits their property, because it wouldn't get let otherwise. So we try to match these with the property. Again, we can go a little bit further away from Troon for these because all the hotels are booked and people are paying big money. So people can pay 50, 60, 70 quid a night for a property out with, and they're quite happy to travel a little bit more. So this is the types of tenants we can get in the property. Next thing people normally ask is, what do I need to do to get it ready? Well, we don't want to be spending days and days getting your property ready. I would say a couple of hours. Putting some personal effects away. If there's anything that you would actually cry about that's going to get broken, family heirlooms, pictures, vases, get them away, lock them. You can lock them in a cupboard, lock them in the garage, put them in the attic, make sure it's shut, nobody gets access to it, and they're nice and safe. Some people are even putting them in their cars when they're going away or giving them to neighbours and friends. So what we would say is don't worry too much. This isn't a holiday home or a hotel. People aren't expecting it to be barren and with clean lines everywhere like a high-end hotel room. It's your house, we make them aware of that, and it's actually a nice touch to come to somebody's family home and stay there. So we make them aware it is a house and that there are going to be personal effects there, but you're welcome to put anything away. A couple of hours, as I say, if it's a big 6-7 bedroom house, it might take you a little bit longer, but again, you don't need to go overboard, and as long as you're comfortable having people in your house, then I'm pretty sure any tenant we select would be respective of that. We do screen them, so we wouldn't have anybody there that we thought wouldn't fit with your property. So a couple of hours just taking personal effects away. You make sure there's some wardrobe space for them, some drawer space, the fridge is empty, that type of thing, and just ensure that they have stuff to live when they're there. So can't have all your stuff there in all the cupboards. They need some wardrobe space, some cupboard space for food. They are going to be living there for maybe up to 14 days, so just make some space for them. Again, we'll cover all this in more detail in the lead up to them when they're actually coming. So we'll clarify who the people are, and that dictates what space they'll need. Corporates just want to dump their bags, they don't need cupboard space, they just work out of a suitcase sometimes and go. Big players might need suits, so we need to have some wardrobe space and stuff ready. We'll cover that depending on the tenant you get. The dates, well, the kind of rough dates, the 8th of July to the 18th. We are finding some people, corporates like the guys doing the seats, were actually housing people for 5 months, so there's going to be April to the end of the, well after it, we're doing the seating for example, so these things can take longer, and generally a couple of weeks for the corporates that are doing stuff prior to the event. But what we are finding is the average length of stay is between 4 days and 7 days. So certainly the 14th to the 18th at the end of the event, and sometimes leading up to it. We'll try and get the maximum amount of time out of your property as possible. So if somebody has only wanting to stay for a week, we'll try and upsell them a few days to make it worth your while moving out. And again, we would always say make sure you can go out during those days. That dictates whether you can actually rent it out or not. And it's interesting to hear everybody's stories as well, so please let me know where these are going and what your plans are. Some people going to Disneyland, some people just staying with neighbours, some people staying in caravans in their neighbour's driveway just to get the money. So some really interesting stories about what people are doing. And this money is making a difference to some people's lives, so I really do like to hear all your stories. So let me know. Next things is, what do I need to provide? Do I need to provide any extras? Well, for anything above, say, £3,000, £4,000, we would normally say pop a cleaner in midweek, halfway through the tenancy. If you're there for 4 days, you don't need to worry, but if somebody's going to be there for 10 days, you definitely want to pop a cleaner in for the sake of 20, 30 quid to get a friend or family to do it. 2 reasons. One, good customer service. It just obviously gives them a nice experience to maybe get their bedding changed and a nice clean round. And 2, you actually get somebody in to have a look at your house. Make sure everything's okay. As I said, with corporate lettings of this nature, they should always be okay. I can't foresee any problems. We've never done over 300 of these and I've never seen any problems yet, so we don't foresee it for this, and the money's a lot higher than what we would normally deal with for some events like Commonwealth Games, so you should not have any problems. But a cleaner in there just lets you keep an eye on it, and it's a really nice touch. Some people are going to be providing breakfast, some people are staying locally, so we can incorporate that in, we can put it into the price. Some people are just putting continental breakfast, some owners are staying in a granny flat off-site, just in a garden, a little annex, and providing breakfast, and meals and cleaning. Yeah, and you can put that into the price. But what it does mean is all the little extras that I'm speaking about might actually get your property let above and beyond. There is a massive amount of competition now. There's maybe nearly 500 properties in the market for this throughout different companies, so you need to be conscious that yours needs to be a step above other ones if you want to get it let, or guaranteed to get it let. Another thing I always recommend is a little hamper. Start saving up all the Scottish stuff. If it's somebody from Scotland that's coming, they're not going to care. There's a Tunnocks tea cake, there's a postcard, there's a bit of tartan. They're not going to care, but Americans and people from overseas really coming here to get the Scottish experience. So I would definitely say get a little hamper. Don't spend any more than £20, £30 between now and the Troon Open, but get Scottish stuff that you think people would appreciate. It could be little miniature bottles of whiskey, little tartan, tea bread, shortbread, all these little things, tea cakes. Get as much as you can, pop it in a wee hamper, leave it with a nice little handwritten card saying welcome to my home, and it's a really nice touch. Letting people know it's your home with such a manner, exceeding expectations when they walk in, it's a lovely surprise. They're going to be very chuffed, and they're more likely to look after your house and respect it even more. So put a little hamper, and that's about it. One thing I like to talk about when I'm there is beds. Now everybody's different, corporates, groups of sharers, families. The bed configuration isn't exact, and every property is different as well. So we advise being as flexible as possible. Now if it's a 3-bed house and you've got 3 doubles, and you can't change them, you're refusing to do anything, then that limits your market slightly to people that are happy to share. You can sleep 6, but really you could only sleep 3 if it's single guys, so it might lose you a lot of potential business. If there's big rooms, you could have a double, maybe put a single in. What we say, we don't want everybody going to crazy amount of work, so there's no point if somebody's taking your house at £3,000 for 4 days or whatever, and you need to put in £1,000 worth of beds, it's maybe not worth your while. If you're only getting 1,000 because they're only renting for a few days and it's a little bit less, there's no point spending 500 quid in beds. But if you've got a £10,000 property and you have to stick a single bed in to get it let, it's worthwhile. So when we're filling out the information and you're letting me know about your property, have a look and think, that's a double, but could I get a single there? Could a children's bed be put there? Would I be willing to change that double to 2 singles for the right tenant? So send the information back to me with this, the potential to sleep. So what we'd say is don't go to any trouble, too much trouble, but if it's a difference between getting your property let and not getting it let, or getting a little bit of extra money, then we would always suggest being flexible with the beds. So the rooms are fixed, can't do anything about that, but the beds, and we can look, it's only going to be for between certainly 4 days and 2 weeks. So if there's a dining room that's off something and has a closable door, consider that as a bedroom. We can put some beds in there as well. So just obviously be creative with your property. We want the properties to sleep the maximum amount of people. If it sleeps 4, then that's fine, but if it sleeps 6 or 7, you're more opening it up to more demographics. If people are sharing, they're more likely to pay £1,000 each than if there's only a few of them and they're paying £2,000, for example. So it makes it more cost effective and more people that you can allow sleep in your house. Final note on this: you don't need to start putting beds, inflatable beds and beds in kitchens and stuff like that. We don't want to squeeze people in. That's not the purpose. We want to match the actual guests with the properties. But we want to maximise the income for your property. But yeah, we don't want to be putting camp beds everywhere. Yeah, if you're happy with that, that's cool. You'll get larger groups. But we want to be realistic with what we're offering, and we don't want to be squeezing people into your house where there's lots of wear and tear. Cool. We'd said make it an experience. We'd said earlier about the hampers. We're getting a lot of money for this, so we want to look at it as hospitality as opposed to just property lettings. So we want to make it a nice experience. We do all that at the back end. We send them links to lots of Scottish stuff. In the lead up to the event, they're going to get lots of deals, special offers, tours, whisky guides, all this type of thing from all the businesses we can support locally. We want these people to come and spend a lot of money locally with local businesses, and we are doing that. So a lot of things happen in the back end to make it an experience, but again, anything you can do there to make that better, then cool. Whether it's wee handwritten notes or little gifts that you pick up, you know, these could be pennies or £1 or 2, but it just makes it nice. So look at this as creating an experience for the people rather than just renting your house out and getting £8 or whatever. You want to look at it as actually making somebody happy, and when we do that, the guests are much happier, you're happier, and everything leaves and the properties are perfect. So that's the way we want to look at it, rather than just getting the maximum amount of money and getting good tenants as well. So next thing is insurance. Contact your insurance, let them know what's happening, and they should cover you. If they don't, let us know and we will pass you on some leads for local brokers in Ayrshire. Again, they've already pre-sourced these, and you can just swap insurance policies to cover it. What we'd say, you're never going to make a claim in your insurance for damage because there isn't going to be any, but what you can get is accidental damage. You could get somebody that's maybe putting their golf clubs over their back and scratching something or knocking your TV over. Again, it's unlikely, but just be aware of it. The main thing is liability. So somebody coming down the stairs and there's a loose carpet in the trip, they might sue you. So it's a liability aspect rather than the accidental damage that you want to be aware of. Somebody walking down the stairs, a banister comes off in their hand. You've always maybe known it was sugar, it's never been a problem, but somebody, it's maybe a bit heavier or a bit heavy-handed, it falls and hurts herself, they might sue you. Or switching on the kettle and getting electrocuted. Yes, of course, these things are all a bit crazy, might never happen, but it's definitely not worth it. Definitely not worth not having insurance, so let your insurance company know. Finally, checks. Well, you need a gas safety. If you're letting your property, you need to make sure that you're not going to die of carbon monoxide when they move in, so you need to get a gas safety check, just as you would with normal lettings. 50 quid, we can help you with that, but if you know a gas engineer that's gas safe registered, they can do this. Get an electrical safety check, somebody to just sign off, give you a certificate or a letter to say your electrics are safe. What you live with and what you see is fine might not actually be safe. And again, I've stayed in my house years ago, and yeah, it's my house, I never live there. I get in at 10 o'clock at night and leave at 5:30 in the morning. I'm never there, but if I rented my house out, I would need to get the electrics done because it'd probably be unsafe. Just not a concern for me, I'm never there, but if I was renting to a family, I'd certainly need to get those electrics upgraded, and the legislation's a lot higher. There isn't any for your own house, you can do what you want, but again, these people's safety needs to be paramount for you, and it's just the right thing to do. So, I don't want to talk too much, and that's probably about 15 minutes, so if you've got this far, well done. I just want to cover everything that you might ask if I was actually sitting on your couch, and these are the main things that you need to know. I've sent some information out via emails, so we should have absolutely everything covered. So thank you very much for watching. If there's any niggling concerns you have, please pop an email over and let me know. But again, thank you for watching this far, and hope to work with you soon.